Now, for more insight on this attack and the possible implications behind it, I want to bring in Bryce Boland. He's the Chief Technology Officer for the cybersecurity firm FireEye, who joins me now from Singapore on Skype. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks very much for having me.
Now, a few analysts claim China is building this vast network of data for two reasons. The first, to work out who the high-value targets are for further attacks, and the second, to work out who might be a good target for human recruitment, for spies. What's your take on that?
Well, it's too early to tell if this was definitely China behind the attacks, and at FireEye we take great caution to make sure we have the facts and the evidence at hand. But it certainly wouldn't be beyond the realms of possibility that China or another nation state would be collecting this kind of intelligence for specifically the purposes you outlined, for potentially human recruitment or to target with targeted spear phishing emails in order to be able to impersonate security-cleared government personnel in their operations.
Now, we understand that the US National Security Agency has expanded its spying capability when it comes to assessing foreign hackers. Is it likely that we'll see retaliation for this hack? Do you think it could spark a tit-for-tat cyber escalation?
Well, I certainly hope not. In fact, when I look at the prospects of doing cyber retaliation from the United States perspective, probably the United States has more at risk in terms of its dependence on modern technology for its economy. That said, I think this is really the domain of the governments to have discussions and agree on what is an appropriate response when these types of actions take place. And I would certainly hate to see a broad-scale tit-for-tat cyber attack breaking out in cyberspace. One thing to consider, though, is that it's quite reasonable to assume that nation states have the ability to conduct offensive operations. 2 years ago, we thought there were 17 nations with offensive cyber capabilities. Today, we think that's closer to 50. And really, there are no clear rules of engagement for those operations.
And so what can be done to prevent these sort of attacks and protect the private, personal information of government workers? Is it just a matter of staying ahead of the rivals?
Well, there's quite a lot that can be done, but the problem is a very complex one to resolve. Our dependence on technology is very significant, and it is extremely complicated to address all possible security threats. That said, there are many organizations that collect a lot of intelligence that would be of value to nation states. And we see this problem very broadly, globally, not just in the United States. There's a few things that organizations can do. First of all, if they do not have the ability to detect previously unseen attacks that have been used to target that organization, then it's reasonable to assume that they've already been breached.